Hey beauties, good morning to you. Beautiful people. I had to wait until this morning to vlog on this. So I was watching the Dion Jackson Miller's program last evening and I realized it's, a sort of a compilation of different programs that she would have had. I don't know if one of them would have been very recent. But the one in particular that I'm going to talk about is the one in light of Dr. Nigel Clark's compensation package review, and she was asking some questions, but he failed to answer. Same, meaning she was talking about the majority of public sector workers, or many public sector workers. Let us not say the majority then. Let us use the word many or some if you prefer. Sorry. Who have an issue with the 100%, 200%, 300% increase, of different parliamentarians, cabinet ministers, and so on, people in high positions. And he began, like a teacher, to present some placards with people in leadership roles. Now, let me put this disclaimer in. I am not in one way, shape, or form saying that somebody in leadership must not get a certain salary. I cannot say that, because if I'm in leadership, what I would want for myself, I try to want the very same for others. That's me personally. Thank God, God has been good. I've asked him not to let me have an evil mind, what we call bad mind, what we call envy in a malicious way, or jealousy in a malignant way towards anyone or anything, no matter even if I am shafted. It is something that I've asked God to work on, because I think it's an evil spirit that is one of the most difficult things to move from human beings. That thing can make you do things that you would never believe you would really and truly do when you come to your senses. So I stay clear from that. I believe what belongs to Caesar must be given. And if you're in leadership because you have a lot of pressure more than the average person, you should be compensated. So let me make that clear. Let me make that clear. I believe you must be paid well. However, like King David said, the Bible said King David dealt with the people fairly and justly. So in other words, if he got $1 million US or pounds sterling as his salary monthly, let us say, just calling a figure, you cannot have the people who he's leading getting well, how much should I say now? $20,000 monthly. That makes no sense. That gap, what David is not doing something that is I don't want to use the word inhumane, is supernatural more than the average person that he's governing and leading. He's not parting the Red Sea. He's not, turning water into wine. He's not raising the dead. And I'm using these analogies for you to understand what I'm saying. It's still a human being. Yes, he has, to whom much is given, much is required. Yes, he may have, more clout, more fame, and have more responsibilities because he has to lead people. So I don't have a problem if you have a higher pay. But there should not be that gulf, like the same gulf between Dives and Lazarus, where you can't even cross over. Like the rich is way over there and the poor is way over there. And he kept, and even when I said, I get your point. I'm asking you to stop. You're making a point over with just using different people in different positions, whether it's a doctor, whether it's a judge, whether it's a law in public sector. You're using people in leadership. We're talking about the average person. And he made a comment that I said to myself, this man is clearly aloof, clearly not with the time. You're talking about the minority. It is not the minority, sir. I know that this program, she said, was aired in May of this year. I didn't even remember. I remember she had interviewed him. I didn't even remember that section where he was showing a lot of the placards. Maybe I didn't watch everything. They're not in the minority. They are not in the minority. They're in the majority. They're not in the minority. You don't have more. I mean, even though when they talk about top heavy, they're talking about top heavy in terms of pay. Like you have a lot of people at the top. You have a few people at the top, but their pay is bulky. And the ones at the bottom, it's skinny. It's like the Heathcliff mentality where Heathcliff cuts 95% of the cake. And when he thinks he's going to take the 5%, he takes the 95% and stuffs it down his throat. I used to find it funny as a child because that's where my thinking was, like a child. But now I became a woman. I realized, oh my God, this thing was showing inequality or inequity. It's not in the minority, and showing the placards, and and she's saying, sir, I got the point. There's no need What I'm talking about is the people who are complaining, especially in the recent wave of months, where you guys gave yourself 100%, 200%, 300% in one sweep, and the following month it was paid out. The opposition leader, stated that he will give 80% to charity. The Prime Minister said for now he will not take the increase. He will stick with his 9 million and whatever he's getting monthly or yearly or whatever it is. Yearly. I think yearly. Right? And even 9 million yearly, the average Jamaican is not getting that salary. The average Jamaican is still not even getting a 9 million yearly. And he would have been basically jumped 3 times the amount. Because the argument is you want to retain bright minds. The argument is if you want premium service, you have to give premium pay. Basically, that is what he said. So are you therefore indicating that those below that area, that leadership post, or the creme de la creme, they're not bright minds and they cannot give premium service? Well, maybe they're unable to because of the type of salaries that they have. Unable to do a lot of things, even on a mid-tier level. They're not in the majority. You said you have not spoken to many public sector workers, sir. Mr. Clark, you have not. Because they would tell you the truth. The salary sucks. It sucks. It's not good. You're not living in the land of the living. You're on a completely different spectrum, a completely different planet. So the 1 and 2, because you even mentioned that the people that you spoke with were the unions, and so I don't know who they spoke with. But the majority, they're not doing well, sir. I'm not sure. When you look at the salary scale across the board, it is a joke. I cannot believe we're still even arguing on this compensation. I'm glad that Dion Jackson Miller brought back that, and I'm glad that she showed that section. And I'm glad she was adamant in not moving from the point. What about the majority? What about the many people who are complaining that their salary is poor? It is indigent. And the ones in leadership, again, people in leadership can get a good pay, but the gulf cannot be that wide. They're not doing what Jesus did and still is doing. They're not doing any supernatural things. They just get a set of people to lead and have to carry out it. And sometimes the people in the middle or the bottom to the middle are doing a lot more in some cases. And to sit there aloof and like you're, almost nonchalant and not hearing what she's saying you didn't want because probably it was squeezing your corns. You kept just saying, let me show you. And then Yolanda, let me show you. She said, I get it. You don't need to show me. You show me with one example and I understand what you're saying. It's a bright lady. She understands. She's no dodo head. She gets it. We get what you're saying, but you're showing all of them that you were showing. But there's a judge in the medical field and so on. They were all in leadership. And there are not many in comparison to those who are not in leadership. Why didn't you carry placards with those who are not in leadership? And let us look at the ratio now. Let us make the comparison. Those are the placards that you should have carried. Those who are not in leadership. And look at what they're earning yearly. It would be so embarrassing. It would be so embarrassing. You couldn't do it. You could not take it, sir. You could not carry those placards of those who are not in leadership across the spectrum in these areas, whether it's a medical field teacher, civil servants. You could not. The cleaner is even indicative of if they still do it. I used to look in the career section, what they're offering yearly. I said, this cannot even be real. In corporate institutions, it could not be real. Sometimes this is something 800 and add to 1 million, and you wonder what yearly with what? You must be just asking them to come and open the place and then close it back. Those are the placards you should have carried, not the ones in leadership. Really, carry the ones who are not in leadership, and show the salary scale across the board, and then carry the other one and let us match them beside each other. Huh? And you guys were not made superhuman. Come on, Mr. Clark. Do better than that. Do better than that. You didn't even give us anything for December coming. Guys, follow me on TikTok. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Share this message.